So crypto is bouncing right now, but how do you know if you should buy or if this is a trap just to set you up to send prices lower? And that's exactly what I want to talk about today to help determine whether or not crypto could potentially continue to go up or continue to go down at the current moment. And it's a lot of good information. So make sure you watch throughout the whole video. Just give me a few minutes and I'll break it down on the charts. With that said, let's go ahead. And in my last video, if you didn't watch, I titled on the thumbnail, "It's over." And of course, naturally, you might think, hey, the market's bouncing today. Rager, man, you're a phony. Man, you said the market would potentially be over. And of course, I have to put that type of thumbnail. I want people to watch the video. But I did break it down and discuss about whenever the market pulls back, we tend to have strong balances, especially if the pullback was strong. So if you have not yet watched that video, make sure that you check it out regardless of what channel you watch me on. Of course, I have an English channel and I have a channel in Chinese Mandarin. So again, make sure that you watch that video. But on today's video, let's go ahead, take a look at Bitcoin and let's determine what's next, what's in store. Now, when it comes to the market, anytime the market moves, it doesn't go just straight up and straight down, right? We know that we have something called mean reversion. If there is a strong breakdown or a strong pump, it's going to reverse even somewhat slightly, okay? So now that's exactly what we've seen here in Bitcoin. We had consecutive days down and Bitcoin actually had a nice rally after the FOMC meeting minutes, and then Powell actually discussed a hint at federal rate cuts. Bitcoin then reacted with a strong reversal after that pump, and it went from 117 down at the lower part of the range here at 109. So Bitcoin pulled back really hard for 3 days, and I said you have to predict or at least look for a bounce right here because it can't continue to keep going straight down. Now, as far as that goes, what I want to watch and what I want to basically break down is I went ahead and wrote it right here. And basically, if you can see this right here, number one, markets don't move in straight lines. Expect bounces and pullbacks after several consecutive days of price movement. If you get anything out of this video, I want you to understand that. I don't want you to chase, but to understand we do have those key bounces. Now, that's whether it's in Bitcoin, that's whether it's in the stock market, whether it's in Ethereum or Solana, any of these crypto assets are going to have either a reaction to the downside or a pump based on consecutive days of movement in one level. We know on the last video, I talked about how a lot of this volatility that we see is caused from perps trading, it's caused from leverage trading. And so a lot of it isn't even spot driven right now. So if a lot of people are trading and are long high leverage, naturally there's going to be volatility because that's how a lot of big players make their money is they, of course, liquidate those longs and shorts, take the other side of the trade, push the price, and of course, take the money. So you have to understand we are going to have a reaction, of course, a bounce, because what tends to happen is a lot of specifically retail traders after a strong dump like this, they're going to get in late, they're going to short the market, and then they're going to end up losing their money shorting at the bottom or longing at the top, as we saw when Bitcoin broke above the all-time high at 124. So markets don't move in straight lines. Understand that it's going to bounce. Now, this is where we're going to determine whether or not Bitcoin crypto will continue to hold this bounce or will break down. So I never want you to be in a hurry. Number two, never be in a hurry. What I want you to do is identify key levels. And I'll go ahead and read this off. Identify and mark key levels on the chart. Watch for major support and resistance zones. That's going to be important, especially on the lower time frames. And we have to understand that this is going to help us determine whether breakouts or breakdowns around these levels will tell you whether or not the uptrend is going to be reclaimed or it will continue downtrend. So Bitcoin is a perfect example. Go ahead and look at the chart right here as we have been ranging back and forth between this 110 to 124 level And of course, we swept the highs, we came down, we swept the lows, we had the news of the Fed cut rate hint, it price pumped, and then we broke down. Now, this is what I want to tell you. Now, naturally, we're going to need a bounce, but I'm still not certain about this bounce yet until Bitcoin and crypto can prove itself. So you have to make the market prove itself. It's totally fine if you don't buy the exact bottom right here. It's really hard to do. But if you're going to allow the price to bounce to buy, at least make Bitcoin and crypto prove itself, okay? So first off, a major support level was this 112 level, okay? I want to see, before I buy right now heavy, I want to see Bitcoin reclaim at least this level, okay? So can Bitcoin get above this current level on moderate time frames and hold? If so, a lot of times what will happen is it'll break above, come back down, retest this level, and then continue to move on up. So a retest after breaking above and breaking back down would be really a good place to buy, right? Bitcoin is proving itself that it can hold that level, that the uptrend can continue. So you want to make sure that you mark key levels. Now, as I said in the previous video as well too, I'm not bullish on Bitcoin unless it can break back above this 116, 117, get above 117, okay? If it can do that, then I am going to flip bullish and expect that the uptrend will continue to all-time high. So that's what I'm looking at, and that's what I mean by establishing these levels, marking them out, and trading based on that. Now, that's going to really help you determine whether or not price will continue up or down. And again, because if Bitcoin cannot break above 112 here, then it's going to reject and it's going to just continue to probably retest the low. So if anything, that's a short, right? It's not going to be a bullish market environment. But if it can retest levels, hold those levels, it'll likely continue to push up. You have to make sure, number two, is not only understand that markets don't move straight up and down. They're going to bounce, they're going to pull back. But based on that, make sure to trade or buy based on Bitcoin and crypto proving itself that it's going to hold a certain level above it. Let's go ahead and look at Ethereum. And Ethereum is the same way. This is actually the 4-hour chart for Ethereum. So I do like to trade on the 4-hour chart. And as you can see here, this was a key level, okay? And it acted as, of course, resistance, flipped to support, and then flipped back to resistance. And again, currently, Ethereum is rejecting, even though it bounced from 4,300, moving up to 4,600, it's currently rejecting off this area. And so for me, I'm not really interested in buying Ethereum unless it can get back above this $4,660, $4,700 level. Again, here is the 1-hour chart, a little bit more broken down here. If it, again, can break above this level and then hold it, I would expect it to at least to come back up here and retest towards 48 to 4,900. So again, are you going to get the best entry? No, I don't think a lot of people are in general, especially if you're a newer trader or investor, but at least, again, you're having price prove itself. I would much rather buy at 4,700 than buy down here at 4,550, price reject, and then it just retest and go lower. And then for each Ethereum that you hold or you bought, you're down $200. If you bought 10, you're down $2,000. So it can really add up as far as maybe too early. So again, having the market prove itself is going to be a key to really help determine what's next. So if we go ahead and look at a few other charts, that's also going to be Solana, right? So Solana, the same thing like Ethereum. And this level of 198 really acted as support and resistance for a very long time. And notice, after price bounce, where is it having trouble breaking above? Just like the other places, it's this 198 level that Solana currently can't really break above. So I want to see it break above this level, at least on lower time frames. The last place we saw to act as resistance and support was around $200, 201. Now, again, is getting in 195, 196 better than this 200? it is. Bottom line for me, I want to make sure that Solana has the strength to continue the uptrend, because if it doesn't, it's just going to reject off these levels and then continue on back down and potentially go lower, sweep this level, or it's going to continue just to go lower in general. Okay, so again, that's for Solana. We're looking at some of the strongest coins right now in majors that I've talked about, including Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, and here even Chainlink. Now, Chainlink is looking strong actually right at the moment, but look where it's stuck at. It's stuck at this level of 24.62, 24.65, whatever. It's stuck in this level. I want to see it break above this level. This is a 2-hour chart, but really the area that acted as support and resistance for so long at these higher levels was around 25.45. So let's just say 25.50. Now, is that another 5 to 10% up? It is, but in the end, I would rather pay a few percentage more for a coin than to actually buy it somewhere it reject and continue to go lower. So that's what we want to understand, is that whenever we're trying to identify and mark key levels, whether or not it's a breakout or breakdown, it will continue or not, it's really watching for the retest of these important support and resistance levels. That's how you're going to help determine or not. Though you really have to mark those on your charts and wait for those to hold. A lot of times buying retest. Now, if you're even watching right now, the wick is getting smaller right here on Chainlink, okay? Meaning that on lower time frames, it's rejecting off this area. Currently, again, I'm not interested in buying Link right here. I want to wait until it can prove itself for higher. So those are the major assets that I'm watching, and I want them to prove themselves before I will buy. Now, the other thing I want to talk about is number 3, zoom out and learn from history. Naturally, if we zoom out, historically, assets like Bitcoin, Ethereum, whenever they test their highs, they tend to pull back after that, because we know that a lot of people buy breakouts and then they get offsides, or they long breakouts. Typically never really works out when it comes to Bitcoin and Ethereum. And we saw it right here, right? We see so often it breaks out on these areas, okay? And what happens afterward? It breaks back down. And so we do know that tends to happen, especially in crypto. And that leads me to show you one of the strongest assets right now is Hyperliquid. Now, this is Hyperliquid, or Hype, against Bitcoin. And it's been consolidating actually for quite a few months now. And it's starting to break out. And we even see here that it's testing the all-time highs. The problem with this is anytime we see a major asset, I do expect that even though Hype is retesting these highs right here and potentially maybe going above it, and you can see this wick right here, it tends to a lot of times pull people off sides. And of course, we have a pullback. And we also know that over the past 8 to 12 hours, really the past day, Hype has been very strong from a bounce from $43. It's up 10-20% overall. It's really doing well. And so I would expect reversion to happen, at least on lower time frames. But I want Hype to be able to prove itself. Not only do I want to see a breakout, but I want to see if it breaks out, it be able to hold above the all-time high at $49.50 to $50. So again, I want you to zoom out and learn from history. Oftentimes, these range breakouts are followed by over leverage and overly bullish or bearish sentiment. And again, that's why we saw price bounce actually here at the lows. We had overly bearish sentiment, and price will end up bouncing because of that. So we do want to know and understand that you have to zoom out. But the fourth key market insight that I do want to talk about now with Hype is to really analyze strength, and especially bid strength whenever we're having these type of pullbacks. And if we're having a downtrend, what types of coins and tokens tend to bounce harder and outperform Bitcoin? And as I showed you a little bit earlier, that even though we've had a downtrend and a bounce, that Hype is really strong asset right now. So it's one of those things that the market likes, and is probably one of those things, even if a pullback continues, is one of those things that we want to bid when we think the market bottoms. And so why is Hype such a strong token anyways? We see right here from a tweet that Hype is doing 36% of all crypto revenues, while its market cap is 1.2% of total crypto market cap, 3.76 trillion, while it's trading 30x lower than its proportion of revenue generated in this space. So again, Hyperliquid is very popular right now. And you can even see on Hyperliquid stats that a lot of people are using this L1 index right now. And then we're seeing that the volume overall is in the billions, tens of billions, hundreds of billions. The open interest is billions and billions as we see the volume continue to go up. The inflows overall since the beginning are up to $5.3 billion. And so Hyperliquid continues to grow increasingly popular. And because of that, because of the volume, because of the trading on it, they tend to generate revenue. And a lot of that revenue, they actually go back and buy the Hype token, which is overall bullish for it. They have a pretty big war chest when it comes to buying back their token. And so that's one reason why it's so strong and the market tends to like it. But regardless, you just need to know that is a strong asset right now. And regardless, even though the market's pulling back, is outperforming most other crypto assets. So what you want to do is look for that, because I not only want to tell you about whether the market is potentially going up or down, whether it's a fake bounce, a fake breakout or not, but I also want you to understand really how to bid when we do have those pullbacks. If it truly is a breakdown, and when things settle down, watch for things that hold stronger and that bounce harder. Because oftentimes people ask me, hey, what do I buy? And I just want to tell them this is what I tend to look at when I'm buying assets overall. But hopefully this was a really insightful video for you. I really wanted to break down how you determine whether something is a buy or a fake bounce, right? Because again, we want to make sure that the market proves itself to us, that Bitcoin, that crypto can actually show that it's strong enough to continue to rally. Understanding that the markets don't move straight up and down. We're going to have bounces. We're going to have pullbacks. And really the key is identifying those key levels. So again, with Bitcoin, as it goes up here to 112, can it continue to hold this level? Can it break above it? And then we'll see from there. If it does break above on lower time frames, a pullback is certainly a potential buy opportunity. Sometimes it breaks down from there, but at least we are more confident in knowing that this has a lot more potential than trying to catch knives here at the bottom. So with that said, we'll continue to watch to see if Bitcoin can actually hold this bounce here or whether it's just a fake out. Of course, it takes time to determine that. It could be days from now, but continue to mark those levels on your chart so you can identify whether or not something is a good buy opportunity. With that said, guys, that's it for me today. Hope you have a great rest of your day. Make sure to trade safe, and I will see you on the next one.